He's an explorer with 50 years of adventure experience. Suddenly, when the man slowly came to his senses, he realized his right hand and forearm were trapped under a massive boulder, couldn't move at all. The man stared at the boulder in complete shock, then touched it with his hand. After the brief shock and panic, he instinctively tried yanking his right arm, hoping he could just pull his arm right out. After trying for ages, the boulder didn't budge one bit. His arm was still completely stuck. He started going crazy, ramming his body against the boulder. He lost count of how many times he hit that rock. After confirming it wasn't working, the man started frantically kicking the boulder with his feet. In that moment, he was taking all his desperation out on that stone. Then he tried using his body to lift up the boulder. The rock that wouldn't budge was like an immovable mountain, sitting solid on his arm. Finally, the exhausted man gave up on using brute force to escape. He took off his backpack and pulled out his water bottle, started chugging it desperately. Suddenly, he seemed to realize something. He quickly stopped. He just realized he needed to save his water, so he quickly put the cap back on. The man started yelling up toward the top of the canyon,
"Christy! Megan!"
As his voice got further from the bottom of the canyon, it got quieter and quieter. The man's name was Jeff. He loved adventure, had an almost crazy obsession with nature. Jeff really enjoyed the thrill of solo adventures. On his way to the canyon, Jeff ran into two lost girls, Megan and Christy. They were just as curious about this canyon. So kind and enthusiastic, Jeff helped them out. Not only gave them directions, but personally took them to their destination. He led the girls through the canyon, showing them all kinds of weird rock formations and natural phenomena, since they had different destinations. After getting them where they needed to go, Jeff said goodbye and chose to keep going. The desperate Jeff, yelling in the canyon, was calling out these two girls' names, but they were gone and couldn't hear Jeff's cries. After getting his head straight, Jeff started thinking about self-rescue. He put his watch on the boulder, then his water bottle. He pulled out every single thing he was carrying. Jeff looked around, finally focused on that multi-tool knife. He used his teeth to pull out the small blade. After looking at the not-so-sharp edge, he turned on his headlamp, started using the small knife to scrape the stone. He hoped he could grind the rock down, or scrape out a gap big enough to pull his arm through. He kept going with all his strength, the blade scraping against stone, making harsh sounds. But the small knife was just too small and dull. After working for so long, the stone barely changed at all. The blade just got duller and duller. Suddenly, he slipped and dropped the knife on the ground. Jeff quickly bent down to pick it up, but his trapped arm limited his movement. Right now, he couldn't even do something as simple as bending over. Then Jeff took off his shoes and socks, trying to grab the knife with his toes. The distance wasn't enough, which made him lose it. Luckily, he managed to reach a dead branch. When he got that knife back in his hand, he finally let out a huge sigh of relief. Then he poked his trapped fingers with the knife. After confirming he couldn't feel anything, he quickly sped up his rock chiseling progress, scared that if he waited